Fiona from Lavender Blue. Welcome back to my channel. So I've got another free printable for you today. This is the Freebie Friday, and so this is available in my Ko-fi, which there is a link below the video, and it's also available in my Facebook group if you're a member. So it's free to everyone. It's not just a subscription based product, because on my Ko-fi I also have a subscription. If you'd like to support me for $6 a month, and you get extra free kits and printables that nobody else gets. So that's a new thing on my Ko-fi. I've just started that, so head over and have a look. But this one is free to everyone. So it's, I think you can see what it is by now. It's button cards. So they're just for decoration, for putting in your journals. And I'm going to turn it into a journal card that you can write on the back. So they're all the same. I've just put old button co and a little button there, and a little frame around, so it's a neutral based, well, neutral base, you know, just it's neutral anyway, so you can dress it up however you like. But I'm in the middle of making my neutral junk journal using the neutrals kit. This is it here. So I wanted to make this to go into the journal as well, so I thought, well, I might as well make it a Freebie Friday. And so it's going to be also a challenge in the Facebook group for this week. So if you head over to my Facebook group and you'd like to take part, just join the Facebook group. And there's always a prize at the end of a printable kit of your choice. So I'm just gonna, it's quite simple, I'm just going to sew some buttons on. I'm not really going to decorate it up too much. And now you can add buttons that are all the same, but I wanted it to be like just, you know, different samples of different buttons on this one, because it's just for decoration anyway, so nobody will be using the buttons. So I'm going to just eyeball where they look like they're lined up to sew them on. So I'm going to put 6. Now you could make them all the same, as I said, and if they're smaller buttons, maybe you could add a couple more. If they're larger, you could just have 4. So I'm going to do this bit, and then I thought, as an added extra, we could make our own buttons. So I will sew these ones down for this card, but then I'll cut another card out and I will put on a handmade button. Well, I'll make 6 of them eventually off video, but in this video I will make 1 or 2 just to show you how to make your own buttons. It's just as another idea. So for the challenge, it's to decorate up your button card and make 1 button of your own. Actually, I know what I'll do. I will take out one of these buttons. I think I'll actually put that down there, but I'll take out one of these buttons, and the 6th button will be my handmade button. So how about we do that? So for the challenge, you can make all 6 of your buttons handmade, or just at least put 1 of them, which is your own handmade button. Okay, anyway, it'll all be described, it'll all be written in the description when I put the challenge up, which I will do shortly after this video. Okay, so I'm going to start by sewing these buttons on, and I will be backing the card afterwards to make it a bit firmer, but I'm going to stitch these on first, and so that when I glue the backing on the card, it's going to cover that stitching and you can still write on the back. Now I've made sure I found a needle which fits through all of the buttonholes, so make sure it's small enough to go straight through the buttonholes. And now I'm getting my thread, and I personally like to use it double when I sew buttons, because I find that it's actually quicker than, you know, sewing your button around lots of times with a thin thread. So I like to use it double. So I'll just thread my needle. This one's fairly easy to thread, which is good. And then I just double up my cotton. Oops, let's get that in. And we can tie a knot in the end. Don't have to. I'm just going to tie a little knot. Now black thread is all I had at hand, so that's why I'm using black thread, but that's okay. Still, black is a neutral colour, so I don't mind that. So what I thought I'd do now, for placement, I am eyeballing mine. I'm not using a ruler to measure, because if I did use a ruler, I think I would mess it up, because I'm much better at eyeballing things. So I'm just going to put a rough dot in the middle where I'm placing each button. So there, 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 and there, and there. Okay, not sure if you can see that, but if you need to use a ruler, obviously do that. Now you could pre-punch your holes in here, so I might just place it on there and then just, without poking my fingers, I'll just poke those holes through. So I just start by coming in through the back, and I do a stitch or two without the button attached, just to get the cotton attached first. And as I said, we'll be covering up the back, so don't worry about that too much. Oops. Okay, so that's, the cotton's pretty much attached now, so I'm just going to sew my button on. Don't worry, I'm not going to do the whole six of them on camera. Could be a bit boring, and well, it could also be a bit frustrating for you watching me, because I'm not the best sewer in the world. So that's one, and you know, I've doubled the cotton, so I should only need to go through about 3 times to, and I'm not an expert in sewing either, so don't take this as a sewing lesson. So there we go, I've gone through 3 times, and that's quite held on there nicely. So in the back, I just go around like this, put my needle back through the strands that are under here, and make knots. Of course, if this was fabric, you could go back through the fabric and do the same thing. So I go under there to create a knot. There we go. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to just trim those off. And these are going to have glue on them anyway, so they're going to be, because we're going to glue the back on and put glue on them, so they're going to be stuck on there. They're not going to come off. Okay, now I'll do one more on camera. Which one was next? I think I might put this little one here now. So I'm not going to punch the holes. I'm going to come up, if I can, I'm going to try and come up near that, just to one side of my mark. And that's okay, that's good enough. Then I'm going to go back down this way, and I'm going to go through again. And I should have put a knot on that one. I didn't. I thought it'd be fine without a knot, but no, it does need one. Like I said, I'm not, definitely not a sewing, not a hand sewer. Let's see if I can catch that in the, catch that end in the cord this time. Okay, that's better. So now I'm going to go up through my button. I might use a bigger button because I've put my holes wider apart. So let's just sew this one on. Also, in yours, you don't have to use neutral coloured buttons. You can use any colours. So if you haven't got browns and creams and colours like that, that's okay. Two, and I said three, okay, because I've got my thread double. Now let's try and do a couple more knots here. Okay, and cut that off. Okay, so that's two of my buttons on. They may not be centered perfectly, but that's okay with me. So I'm going to sew the other three on, and then we'll come back and make our own button. Okay, so I've sewn my 5 buttons on, and I'm going to make my own button to go in this spot here. So I'll just put that aside. To make your own buttons, you will need a circle punch or some way of cutting out circles. And I was looking at my 1-inch punch, and I think that will be too big for mine to fit in here. So I've also got a smaller punch, which is 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to use that one. But if you were to use or make all your own buttons, you probably could fit 4 1-inch buttons on there if you've only got a 1-inch punch. So now you can use a thick cardboard like this. This is like from packaging, you know the back of the paper pads that you get. It's very similar to this, and I think this was from something like a sheet or a pillowcase or something like that, and this was what it was wrapped around. So you can use that and just put the actual design that you want, like the paper that you're gonna have on the top. Just put that on the top and the bottom. So you could probably get away with just one thickness of this if you're using this. If not, I would use a cardstock, and you would cut probably 4 or 5 of these and glue them together, and then put your design that you want on the top and the bottom. So you'd end up with about 7 layers. So yeah, I'd say about 5 widths of this will make one of these. But because I've got this, well, first I'm going to see if my punch will punch it. If not, I will use the cardstock. Let's see if it's going to go through. And no, I don't think it is. It's not going to go through that one. So I just want my buttons to be this, nice neutral colour. So I'm going to cut, I wonder if I should do 4 or 5. 1. Oh, they've fallen in there. 2, 3, 4. I'll do 5 just to see what that's like. I don't use this punch very often. Okay, so I've got 5 here. Oh, and that's really quite thick. So 4 or 5, you might only need 4. And then stick your pattern paper on either side. Yeah, I'm going to try it with 4. So, and I'm just going to punch out my other 2. And what am I going to use? I think I'll just use this part with a little bit of a design on it. So my button's going to have, I think it was that side, those patterns on there like that. Okay. So we can put the punch away. Now I'll get my glue. And I will use tacky glue, I think. Okay. So I'm going to glue these 4 together. I always have trouble squeezing out of this glue container. I think I'm going to change it and use a different one. These ones are better, these little ones that I got from Amazon. Well, not Amazon, Temu. And then I got these ones from, I don't know, a local cheap shop. But they're really hard to squeeze the glue out of. Anyway, so this one. And try and go right to the edges if you can. I've put a fair bit of glue in, so it is squeezing out the edges. And then we just want to make sure they are lined up. And then just compress them down really well. Like that. And I am going to ink this up when I'm done. I think I've done another video, but quite a long time ago I've made a video on making your own buttons. I'm not sure actually if I want that side instead. It's kind of a... No, I'll go with the brown. Now for this you could just put your pattern paper on one side, because you won't see the underneath, but I'm going to put it on both sides. Right, glue that down well. And then the other side. Now there's lots of ways of finishing your buttons too. As in, if you want to make them shiny and sort of to have a harder finish, you could just use Mod Podge on them to seal them, or you can actually use a resin, like a UV resin, and then cure them under your UV lamp. I'm not going to do that today because I don't have my resin and my lamp out. They're all put away. That gives it a really nice hard and shiny finish. And then you have your glossy accents or your diamond glaze. So you can do that to your button. I'm not going to do it in this video though, because we're not going to be able to wait for it to dry. So anyway, we've got all those glued together, and we need to punch the holes. So what I have here is I just have a piece of foam. It's just that kids foam, or craft foam. I might double it over actually. And then I'm going to sort of eyeball, and it's best actually to wait till this is dry. Mine's still damp, so I don't know how this is going to turn out, but you really would want this dry. And I'm going to just ink around my edges now too. So they blend in a bit more. So they're more of a brownish colour when I ink. But you can also go around your edges with a marker. So you might have a black or brown marker, or something that matches the colour of your button, and that actually looks really good too. And it gives it more of a solid colour. And then I would glaze it and put my holes in. Okay, so I'm just going to use my, I don't think it's going to be too thick. I thought I might just use my awl to do this, just the tip of it. So this is my bookbinding awl or pokey tool, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to eyeball where I think the 2 holes should be. So I can see the centre's about there. So I'm going to make a hole here. And I can feel the foam, so I'm pretty sure that's gone all the way through. Yep. And you can make it, you know, a little bit bigger so that your needle's going to go through. So I'm taking it to about that size. You can see it. So I can see where that one is. So I'm going to go across. Second one. Right there, and I can feel the foam now. You can sort of feel it when you've gone into it. And this is my second hole. Now mine looks a little bit bent, obviously. Well, my holes are a bit way off. They're actually quite a bit way off. But anyway, you know, you'll do it properly. So just put your holes evenly. And then I would like to glaze this, you know, with something. Really. So I think I'm going to wait for this to dry and then glaze it. But I'll do that after the video because I'm pretty sure you've got the idea of how to make them. So then when that's done, I'm going to have my little handmade button there sewn on. And you can barely tell that it was handmade. And when you do make these buttons hard, like with glazing, with something like a glossy accent or your resin, they are totally usable, especially in resin, because it just makes them hard and shiny. So someone, you know, you could use it as a button, a proper button in your journal or for decorating something. Yeah, so I just thought I'd mention that. So that's all you need to do. And actually I will sew it on now. I'll sew it on now, but I will maybe make myself another one for the journal. We'll see. Because it's not too bad, even though it's not shiny. I'll sew it on because I want to show you how I'm going to back the card as well. So about there. Let's just sew this a few times. Oops, got a big loop there now. Okay, come back up and I'll attach my button. And so what I'll probably do for my journal is, once this is sewn in, after this video, I will put a coat of something on the top there while it's still attached to the card, just so it looks shiny. And you know, when I show you my journal or do something else in my journal on video, I'll be able to show you what that looks like. Now I can't find that particular hole for some reason. And there we go. Okay, 2, and I've got my thread doubled up, don't forget. 3. Okay, quickly make some knots. Get that through. Got a big mess underneath mine. This is my sewing. I'm not very good at it, but that's okay. I can sew buttons on. So before I go and put a back on this, and what shall I back it with actually? I think I will back it with this nice paper again, because you can write on this paper. I'm going to make some marks where I need to cut. And I'm going to cut my border off. And there. Now I could use my paper trimmer. I think I'll be able to do it using my scissors. Just cut the border off. And then if I can find my line, cross this way. My hand didn't want to cooperate then. Okay, so I'm going to first put my stronger sort of glue, like a tacky glue. Is that this one? This is my fabric glue. So it's a bit stronger. I'm going to put a dot on each blob of cotton, because I want to make sure they're not going anywhere. Alright. Make sure my buttons don't come off. Then I'll just get my PVA glue. Hopefully it's going to work. And I'm going to put glue all over. And I just stuck my thumb in a big blob of glue. You may not be able to see this because it's a very fine needle tip. So I'm going all over. And glue it down. Make sure I've got it straight. Yep. Just put my needle back in my glue. And stick it down. Okay, so that is the finished button card. As I said, I will, after the video, I will stitch around this on my sewing machine so it has a decorative stitch edging. Oh, actually, I'll do it now. I'll pause the video, I'll sew it, and I'll come back. Just 1 second. Okay, so I'm done, and I did stitch around my little card. You can see that there. I just did a zigzag stitch all the way around. You can write or stick things on the back, whatever you want to do. Well, that's what I'm using mine for. So really, how you do yours, like as to whether you decorate the back or whether you're going to use it for a pocket, you know, it's up to you. But for the Facebook group challenge, for those of you who are in my Facebook group, and if you want to join, the link is in the description box below. Just make up the button card. Put however many buttons you want to, 4 or 6, and you can make them all your own handmade buttons, or you can at least make one of your own buttons and make the rest buttons that you already have. And sewing around it is also optional. So I'm thinking though, what about a little bit of decoration? I don't want to decorate it too much because when you get these button cards, you know, they don't normally have decoration, like bits of lace or whatever on there. So I'm actually thinking, to be honest, the simplest little decoration would be, I could put lace across the bottom, but I'm thinking perhaps just a cute little bow. Let's see, have I got lace at hand? Not really. That's too big. But yeah, I don't really want to cover it up. So, but you can of course decorate yours up as much as you like. Bit of fabric glue, and I'm going to glue down a little bow. When my glue wants to come out. Now, the other thing you can do if you want to, if you prefer, is round your corners. I don't mind them like they are, but you can round your corners if you want to. So let me just get that bit of glue off. There we go. So there is the vintage button card freebie. So I hope you liked that one. Thanks very much for joining me, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye bye.